So now we will start by a live panel regarding the fiber innovation. This panel will be in English because we have English-speaking people. So I'm really happy to open the floor more or less to several people that are joining us today. Starting by Helen, that is expert on chemistry and fibers, working for several years with leading fiber producer all around Europe, and now leading the fiber, fabric, and garment innovation at LYCRA company, helping the UK retailers to find sustainable solutions. So very welcome, Helen. Next panelist is Nora. Nora, head of communication at Renewcell, the first company in the world to make 100% textile-to-textile virgin quality recycling work at scale with their innovative fiber circulose as a replacement for virgin material, like trees, cotton, or oil. So we spoke a little bit earlier with one questions regarding this kind of regenerated technologies, more or less. We have Anne also tonight with us, denim designer and developer working with French fashion brands like Cézanne, Emrico, Noyoko. And since 2021, she has been working on cotton and traceability in the denim supply chain and published a series of reports called Who Made My Cotton in collaboration with Annie, that we say hello as well, from Simply Suzette. And last but not least, thanks Denis to be here, quite from Shanghai directly, so quite thanks for being here at this time. Denis is the CEO and founder of the Flax company, specialized in flax and hemp fibers, and creator of Marmara Hemp, the first certified sustainable cottonized hemp fiber, C2C certified. So we also spoke about cottonization with Miguel a little bit earlier. So thanks all of you to be here today. Today, the topic will be around the fiber innovation. So my first question for all of you to drive these topics will be, is innovation on fiber for denim becoming a key factor in overall development of the industry? And in order to start the reply, I will give the mic more or less to, let's say, starting by you, Nora, and also you can showcase what you do at Renewcell.
Sure, of course. Thank you so much for the introduction and for having us. In very short terms, as you also introduced, Renewcell is a recycling company. So what we do is we take in textile waste and we recycle it into a dissolving pulp, which is a raw material that you use to produce viscose fibers. So we're not even producing a fiber, we're actually producing the material that goes into the production of new fibers. But to your question as well, we sure hope so. But what we've seen generally is that there's a huge focus from the brands and designers on the material, and that goes back all the way to the fiber level. Of course, that's where you start looking at the raw material that you're using to produce your garment. So for sure, there's a shift in focus there, where we're going all the way back to raw material. And what we do is really in the beginning of the supply chain, which has been something that hasn't really been discussed that much in the fashion industry in general for the last years. So it's great to see that focus coming back.
So with my son, sorry, I will go, thanks for your feedback. I will go for, let's say, a very old fiber, more or less, so the bast fiber. So for you, Denis, to get also feedback, because we have Renewcell is one side with very innovation, very new, modern, let's say, on the purpose of innovation. But the innovation is not only for modernity, it's also for long-standing fibers. So what is your point of view regarding innovation on your side?
So, hemp is a very old fiber, probably the oldest fibers, one of the oldest fiber. But the innovation, what we did, we made hemp available for textile, and we made it available for cotton spinning. Basically, 99% of the hemp grown in the world and in Europe is green hemp, which is used for technical purpose and which is not rated. So what we have done with our partners in France, so we have adapted the culture of hemp to get rated hemp, to get fineness, and to make a fiber which is spinnable by the cotton spinners. And so denim is actually, ideal market for hemp, because hemp remains a very coarse fiber. If you want to use only the mechanical process, which is the cleanest process to convert the plant into a fiber, you still have very coarse fiber, and the denim industry is using coarse count, and the idea of using mechanical processed hemp is to use in a blend with 20 to 30%. So we remain very, very, very sustainable. We use a fiber which is absorbing, hemp is absorbing as much CO2 as 1 hectare of forest. So basically, this is the ideal fiber, as long as you keep it to to some levels where it is, you use it only for good. And again, the idea, which maybe we will be discussing afterwards, the idea is not to replace cotton, because we are not competing with cotton. We are not willing to replace cotton. We are willing to make the fabric greener, and adding hemp into a blend with cotton or recycled cotton is, I like taking this example, is like adding ice cube into your coffee, and you make, from hot coffee, you make iced coffee, because hemp is so green that it's making, the whole thing, the whole yarn, the whole blend, extremely competitive in terms of sustainability.
Very interesting point of view, and you speak about blending. So I'm going to you, Helen, because of course also your fiber is a matter of blends, and thanks to your fiber, also the denim industry changed a lot since the 100% cotton version. So what is your point of view regarding the innovation on fiber?
Yeah, well, I think when the denim industry first started looking at sustainability, the real focus was on all the washing and the post-garment finishing, the laundry part of the chain. And that was the first area people looked at. And now people are looking further up the production chain to look at the fibers they're using in the first place. So it's a sort of evolution of sustainability and taking it right to the whole garment and then doing the laundry treatment afterwards. Yeah, LYCRA fiber has been around since the 1950s. It was basically invented to replace rubber in women's corsets. So to get from there into jeans did take quite a while. It wasn't the obvious leap. But what happens with jeans is the tighter they get, the more they actually need to move with you. So if you've got a very baggy garment and very loose fit, you don't need that to stretch and recover with you. But in the 1970s, the punks in London couldn't get their jeans on and off because they were wearing very tight jeans. And that's when LYCRA started to be used for denim. And all it does really is provide that recovery. To make a stretch denim, what you do is you open, I'll use my fingers, you open the warp yarns out on the loom and you put the LYCRA across the weft. And LYCRA is basically a glorified elastic band. That's what it is. We cover it with cotton so it's not shiny. And then that is put across the weft under tension. And then as that fabric comes off the loom, the yarns pull together, and that's what gives you the stretch and recovery. So that's what our fibre has been doing for the last, well, since the 1970s. We are now looking at how to make our fibre more sustainable. And I think of all the fibres we're here today, elastomer has been the most difficult one to make more sustainable. We're working really, really hard on that, and we will be launching a bio-derived product next year. And we have to go in big, because one of the things you have to do in sustainability is not put your prices up. Everybody wants super sustainable, but no one wants to pay any more for it. So if we as a big global man-made fibre producer go in to do something more sustainable, we have to do it on large scale. Otherwise, our costs just go through the roof. So the first step of making elastomer more sustainable for us has been to do that bio-derived. So we're not making it from petrol anymore. We're going to be making it from non-food grade corn. Then we're looking at garments. So how do you make your denim last longer? And one of the, there are a couple of things we're doing using one of our fibers called LYCRA T400 to add to cotton, especially recycled cotton, to add to the durability of the garment, because so many retailers now are looking at durability in terms of garment. And then at the end of the cycle, we really want to be looking at post-consumer recycling. So that's the area we're looking in, researching a lot. And we will be partnering with the chemical recycler companies to try and get our fibre out of the mix and then be able to respin it. That is the holy grail, and that's when we'll have closed the loop on what we're doing.
That's very interesting. Thanks, Helen, for this introduction into what you are doing in terms of sustainability. That led me to a second question, which I would like you, Anne, to start with, is regarding, you all speak about sustainability, so I will be challenging a little bit. How do you measure and ensure that what you are doing as a fibres innovation is really a sustainable innovation? How do you make it? How do you ensure this is sustainability?
For me, I'm going to talk from the brand's perspective, and it's a really difficult choice to make. Obviously, you have life cycle assessments for making that kind of decisions. But I think the first thing you can do before getting into those life cycle assessments that are quite difficult to use sometimes as well, is to first think about, so what's the purpose of the fiber and why are you going to use it? And as Denis was saying before, it's not about replacing something with another one. It's not about replacing hemp with cotton. It's more about what hemp is going to bring to the mix in the cotton, or what LYCRA or what a viscose fiber from Renewcell could add to the mix. So for me, the first thing to think about is what makes sense in the first place, and does it serve a purpose? And then after that, I think that the most important part is having deep transparency around the processes, having traceability, which can be really tricky for some fibers like cotton, but is a lot easier when you have fiber that is produced locally, in my case for hemp, or when it's a branded fiber, because you can obviously track it a lot easily than others. So yes, I would say purpose and transparency are the key factors for making the right decision.
Thank you very much. I like this point of view from the brand perspective with the good sense of purpose and traceability. Going back into now the other parts of the industrial part. So with you, Nora, regarding measuring sustainability, how do you tackle this topic?
I think sustainability, it's a very broad word. What we try to focus on a lot as a recycler is circularity. So looking at what kind of impact we can have by not extracting any natural resources. So we obviously, as and touch upon, we do an LCA, and there's LCA and data for our product itself. But we're also looking to scale our product and our production. So we're also choosing to focus a lot of how we can do that in the most sustainable way. So how we can build our factories and how we can expand the production in a way that makes sense, because we want to obviously expand as much as possible. So we want to build factories, and how do we do that and build a new industry in the best way? So for us, going back to measuring our impact as a producing company also goes back to how we can do that and build our production capacity as we grow.
Okay, thank you very much. From your side as well, Denis. How do you measure the sustainable improvement? You have a C2C certified, for example, application for your fiber, but how does it work? How do you measure it more or less, and what is important for you in terms of sustainability measurement?
Yes, as Anne was telling before, you can say whatever you want, but if you cannot prove it, it has no meaning. So that's why we immediately did 2 years ago our full LCA. To basically prove what we were telling or what we were believing. So we did the full LCA. We got it approved by outside parties, and we also got it approved by the Higg index. You know, I know that some people may have different opinion about the Higg index, but I can tell you that we've been working very hard to give them all the figures they were actually requesting. And we have a couple of figures. I don't want to give you too many figures because, you know, when we give too many figures, we get lost. When we have the LCA, we have the single score, and our Marmara hemp, which is purely mechanically treated, where we use no irrigation, we use no phytosanitary product, it's only mechanical process. We have a single score of 213, and to give you the comparison, for example, for polyester, it's 450, so it's twice more, and for cotton, it's about more than 5,700. So you understand the ratio, 213 for Marmara hemp cottonized versus 5,700 for the cotton. This is for the single score, and one more data, because single score means it has a meaning, but we also have to focus on the climate change. And when we look at the climate change, when polyester is not that bad in terms of single score, we see that to produce 1 ton of Marmara hemp cottonized fiber, we actually produce 1.2 tons of CO2. To produce 1 ton of polyester, you produce 4.3 tons of CO2. I'm talking about the regular polyester. And to produce 1 ton of cotton, you basically produce 10 tons of CO2. And one thing which we cannot consider, because it's not allowed by the LCAs. Actually, we produce 1.2 tons of CO2 when we produce 1 ton of hemp. But in the meantime, during the growing and harvesting time, the plant is absorbing 1.5 tons of CO2. So meaning that basically the fiber is carbon negative.
Biogenic carbon, yes, a very interesting topic into environmental impact calculation. But yes, interesting to know. And that's very important to dive, and we'll dive for the next transformer figures. Looking at time, I would like also to touch upon about the future challenges. So Helen, you were speaking about challenges that you already are facing. In a broad way, and also at your point of view, for what are the next challenges that the innovation into fiber will be facing or is facing, and especially for your fibers, you tried to already discuss about this, but yeah, more in a global picture and then zooming in your perspective.
Yeah, well, I think the key challenge is traceability, and retailers have the responsibility of everything they're selling in their store. So that's why they get very nervous about making sustainability claims, because it falls on their shoulders. So what we have to do as partners to retailers is provide that transparency for what they're going to be selling in their store, which means third-party certification, which means telling the story as it is. Before we even looked into doing the bio-derived product, which we're going to be launching next year, we did a big LCA to work out where the impact was in our product. And it turns out that the key area to work on was the feedstock of our product. So that's why we've worked on the bio-derived angle. But yeah, absolutely, traceability is key, and making sure that the retailers are backed up with messages that are solid and not greenwashing, not stories anymore. They cannot, there's European legislation coming down the track, which will really stop all that happening. So we have to partner with them and make sure that what they're buying, the sustainability messages are clear, because it's such a complicated field. Sustainability, there's no obvious silver bullet answers. It's a journey we are all going on, and it's a journey which will last forever. It's not just one step and you're there. So it's working with the retailers, moving forward bit by bit to improve the garments we're selling, all of us, because we're all involved in the same industry.
Okay, and you're right. The legislation is coming very hard and in force. The Green Claims was published last week, and it's still a lot of work to do. So yeah, and in France, as we are speaking about the French edition, yes, again, the law is even speeding a little bit more than in Europe. So yeah, liability will be key, and the brands are starting to discover this, and it's more like a hangover, but yes, that's interesting. Going back to you, Anne, what's your point of view regarding the next challenges into fiber innovation? Having the brand side of it, or other side, as you wish.
Well, on my side and brand, but I've been mostly focusing on cotton. So and that's a big challenge, because even if I'm really interested in adding more fibers in the mix, I think for denim we will still have a huge amount of cotton involved, and so in my opinion this is where the biggest part of the impact is. And to me, the future is definitely traceability, full radical traceability, and thanks to traceability, I hope that we can actually reach out to all the members of the supply chain, talking about the farmers, but I'm also talking about traders, spinning mills, like everyone, and sit all together and talk and see how we can actually make better decisions and support each other better and co-invest in better solutions.
And you're right, and we are already conducting a project into traceability in France. So yeah, that's very interesting and a lot of work to do, but yeah, keep moving. On your side, Nora, for you, what are the changes on the fiber innovation, and especially for what we call now the regenerated fibers, quite new, quite modern. So yeah, mainly in your side of it, what is the next challenge you are facing?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I think for us, it's all about scaling now, because even if we have these great technologies and innovative fibers, we need to be able to apply them on a broader scale than we are doing now. So I think it's all about getting the commitments from brands to actually buy the fibers once they're available at the volumes they need, so that we can also secure the financing needed to continue to scale production. So that's one part, looking at the product side. And then of course comes the feedstock that we need. And now that we're coming to actual volumes, we need to make sure that we can secure that feedstock coming. And of course, we all know there's no issue in the textile waste in the world. We have enough of it for a very long time, but how do we get it to us, and how do we sort it and collect it in an efficient way? So that infrastructure is also something that we need to start working on a global scale, not just the EU and not just country by country, but actually working together to make sure that we create a system that actually works for the waste and the collecting of it. So I think those parts, both on the upwards and downwards, is very key for us now moving forward.
Yeah, again, you are in the middle of the circle, so yes, very important point of view as well. Denis, on the natural fiber point of view, what are the next challenges for fiber innovation?
The challenges are huge, and we are actually facing a lot of problems. The first problem we are facing is that most of the buyers, the brands, they don't know anything about hemp. And those who eventually heard about hemp, they don't know that there is some, I wouldn't say good or bad hemp. There are some sustainable hemp, and there are some hemp which have been treated chemically, which in terms of sustainability, it's really a disaster. I will not be telling where it's coming from, because I'm not sure I will be able to leave Shanghai end of the week. But so this is our first biggest challenge, to explain the brands that there is some hemp which is much better than the other one. The second challenge is also to explain the brand that sustainability has a cost. I understand what Helen was telling, but basically it's not always possible to make sustainable fibers cheaper than virgin fibers, which are consuming a lot of water or a lot of chemical or pesticides. So sustainability has a cost, but by making the garments more resistant, stronger, then this cost can easily be absorbed. We have also spinning challenges. We have weaving challenges. we might discuss about this later on. Can we use the blend with hemp in weft or in warp? Actually, we can use in both warp and weft. But when we have a stretch fabric, we cannot use in weft. We use only in warp. But technically, it absolutely works. Yes, it's more difficult to spin hemp than to spin cotton. But many people today in Europe, in Turkey, in Pakistan, in India manage to do it absolutely perfectly with our fiber. It has been a lot of challenges for them, but whenever they want and whenever the brands are imposing them to use hemp and our hemp, then I can tell you that they manage. Traceability is also a key issue for us. And so we have worked with partners to offer different traceability solutions to the brands. So we have developed, we have done some treatment with LYCRA, which is the DNA treatment, and we've also done with some I forgot the name, where we had some kind of viscose tracer in our blend. So then we can find a fiber trace, then we can find our fiber in the blend. So I would say the challenges are huge, but we are working hard to make hemp available in the garments and in the denim of tomorrow. And as I was telling you about the cost, and to conclude with with this, our big challenge is to make hemp profitable for the farmers. Today, with all the cost of wheat, of agricultural product, which are going up, it's a very big challenge today to have a fiber which is profitable for the farmers and which is acceptable in terms of price for the industrial, for the brands. We have managed it. Also because we are doing hemp on top of flax, which is the quantity issue that Nora was talking about, and so we managed to cut down all the costs because it's just something that we are doing on top, on the same equipment, on the same lines as we are working flax fibers.
Yeah, thank you for this summaries of the key challenges you will have. We are arriving at the end of the panel, so we have some questions rising that I want to share with you. The first one is regarding how can we increase the collaboration between denim industry and the steward of the land, practicing regenerative agriculture and creating concrete positive impact, so biodiversity, soil health, and so on. So you heard about this, more or less, that we do have some standards coming in, so on, mixing what we call regenerative agriculture, but how does it goes? Mainly the natural fibers, so we'll speak mainly for Denis and for you, Anne. How do you see it coming into either cotton, either bast fibers? Yeah, how do you see it, and how do you see collaboration coming in?
I can start. So the way it's coming is that, so first you have some brands that are already some mills, sorry, that are already offering, for example, Regen Agri certified cotton. So cotton grown with regenerative agriculture practices. You have that, and what from my experience works best is actually if you want to get involved, you need to map your supply chain, and you need to identify where your cotton is coming from, and through those networks you might get to talk to, for example, traders who will know about projects in different areas of the world, and that you could jump in on and support and to get your cotton from. So that's probably how you get involved. But you have a lot of, in terms of cotton, you have a lot of great people offering really interesting direct-to-farm solutions, and to support small farmers and with regenerative practices.
Thank you. And Denis, you were speaking about regenerative power of the hemp, more or less. So how does it go? Collaboration? You speak only of the industrial part, but how do you work with farmers doing the hemp and so on? You were speaking of your last challenge was to help the farmer.
We are working with the farmers, and we have, we've built a full partnership, the full chain from farming to cottonizing. We have today, basically, we managed to make it available, to make it profitable, to make it spinnable. And our biggest problem today is to convince the brand to use hemp. And it is a big challenge, especially when we see that, for example, this year, the collections, most of the brands have decided to shorten the collection and to go on, fabrics which work well. So all the innovative fabrics have been mostly put on the side. And this is, we regret this. We understand, again, we are working on the long term. So we understand that, when the market is difficult, you focus on what what is working. But I think, as one French president was telling 20 years back, our planet is burning. And my understanding is that the brand do not understand the situation and do not understand that they have to go faster on more sustainable fibers. That's something which I really want to say now. As I was telling, I just returned to what I was telling at the very beginning. The idea is not to replace cotton because cotton is very soft, because cotton is produced in millions of kilos, and where hemp, we do represent less than 0.1%. So basically, we are so small, so tiny that our objectives are not to replace cotton at all, but to offer, it's one of the solutions for a more sustainable fabric. And Théophile was mentioning hemp linen blend. We've done with Bossa in Turkey, blends of yarn for denim, for Chloe brand, with hemp recycled linen. So we are recycling pre-consumer waste. So this is a GRS certified cottonized linen, which we are producing also in our mill, together with cotton. So this is, I would say this is a fantastic cocktail, which are available to the industry. And we just hope the buyers to look more at all what we are offering.
And I will keep these last words because we need to move on, but that would be the advice for everyone. Fiber innovation is key for sustainability, and it's like a cocktail. So test, try it, and enjoy it more or less. But we need to do some cocktails in order to progress in sustainability and to speed up with the brands. So thanks all of you. We have some more questions in the Q&A, so I will let you, if you have time, to reply directly on the Q&A session. But we need to move on.